So today we are going to be learning about fraction and decimal equivalent, but let's just remind ourselves about how digits fit into the place value chart. So we have our hundreds, our tens and our ones, then we have the decimal point, and then the digits that come after that, we have our tenths, our hundredths, and our thousandths, and that's our place value chart. Now, if I were to give you a digit like 7.634, that's how it would fit into the chart. So I've got 7 ones, I've got 6 tenths, I've got 3 hundredths, and I've got 4 thousandths. So if we have a look at the first type of question that you're going to be coming across on your question sheet, this asks me to match the statements to the decimals. So if I look down here at the written numbers, I've got 7 ones, 4 tenths and 5 hundredths. 7 ones, 4 tenths and 5 hundredths. But if I look down my digits here, I can find, now this one here I can see, if I think back to my place value chart, this one here has got 7 ones, then we've got the decimal point, we've got 4 tenths, 4 in the tenths column and 5 in the hundredths column. So this one matches to that one. I wonder if you can spot the next one already. The next one down is 5 ones, 7 tenths and 4 hundredths. Well, I've got one here which is 5.47 and one here which is 5.74. So both of those have 5 ones, but this question tells me I've got 7 in the tenths column and 4 in the hundredths column. And that one goes down to that one there. 5 in the ones, 7 in the tenths column, and 4 in the hundredths column. Okay, and I'm sure that you've worked out the rest of them by now. This one that says 4 ones, 7 tenths and 5 hundredths. Here I've got 4 ones, 7 tenths and 5 hundredths. And then of course this last one, 5 ones, and I've got 4 tenths, 4 in the tenths column, and 7 hundredths, 7 in the hundredths column, and that matches to that one there. So that's the first type of question you will be coming across. Let's have a look at the next one. On this one here, we are asked to match the fraction diagram that you can see with the decimals and the fractions across the bottom of the stage. I've got to circle the fraction and the decimal which match the picture. So first of all, I've got to look at the picture and decide what that is actually showing me. And I can see that it's split into 10 sections. So that is my denominator. It's split into 10. I can see that 9 of them are shaded in. So the whole thing represents 9 tenths. Now I know from what I have just learnt, if I think about my place value chart again, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, if I've got 9 tenths, I want 9 in the tenths column. There's my decimal point, and I don't have any ones or anything like that, so I put a 0 there. So I've identified that 9 tenths is 0.9, so that's the first one. Now I found out the fraction for that, however, the fractions I'm given do not match that. But I know that I've learnt equivalent fractions last week, so one of these two fractions must be equivalent to that. So let's test them out. Maybe you've spotted which one it is already. What have I done to the 9? Let's think it's that one first. Let's test this one. What have I done to 9 to get to 9? Well, I've times it by 1. Have I times that by 1 as well to get to 100? No, I haven't. That one does not work. So let's try 9 tenths and 9 over 100. Are they equivalent? Well, I can see that I've times 9 by 10 to get 90. I've also times the 10 by 10 to get 100. So those two are equivalent. So those are my two correct answers on that question. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Here we've got a series of fractions and we have to match them up to the decimal equivalent. Well, I've done some practice on this now, and so I should be able to match them up. So if I've got 6 over 100, I know that, there's my decimal point, I know I've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. If the 6 is over 100, the 6 is in the hundredth column. I put my decimal place in. Anything else, I've got no ones, and I fill up all the gaps with zeros. I know that that one is 0.06. I got 6 over 10. If I put the 6 in the tens column, there's my decimal point. Fill up the gaps with zeros. 6 in the tens column is 0.6, so I know that that one goes to that one. And if I've got 65 over 100, I'll just do another chart there so it's a bit clearer. 65 goes into the 100 column, put a 0, I've got no ones, that is 0.65, so that one matches with that one. So that's the next set of questions that you will come across on your sheet. And the last one. Here I'm given some fractions and decimals and I've got to say what they are when I convert them to the other. So if I've got 25 out of 100, again, I know what my place value chart is. So if I've got my decimal point and I've got tenths and I've got hundredths, I need 25 over 100. So that's 2 tens and 5 in the hundredths. So that is there, and I put my decimal point, fill up the gaps of zeros, so that one is going to be 0.25. 0.07. Well, that's a 1 decimal point. That's my tenths. The 7 is in the hundredths column. So as it's in the hundredths column, that will be 7 over 100. Now this last one's a little bit trickier. What is a half as a decimal? Now I know so far from my place value chart, all my denominators are multiples of 10. I've got tenths, hundredths, I've got thousandths. That's a 2. I need it to be tenths, a hundredths, or a thousandths. So I'm thinking now I need to find an equivalent fraction. So if I turn it into tenths so it will fit onto my place value chart, what have I done to the 2 to turn it into tenths? Well, I multiply it by 5, which means I multiply the numerator by 5. So that is 5 over 10. Now, I know that 5 tenths will fit into my place value chart. So there's my ones, my decimal point. This is my tenths column. So the 5 is over 10, that goes in the tenths column. There's the decimal point, and I've got no ones, so a half is equivalent to 0.5.